TV. Hope you're having a good one. What's good? What's good? What's good? What you got going on? I know a lot of you probably are like freaking out at the moment. Don't freak out. There's more downside to come. Freak out then. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. Tonight's question. What crypto firm lost $482 million in 2025? Kraken, Gemini, Anchorage Digital, or other. If it's other, you know what to do. Drop it in the comments. So there's a lot. Wow, there's a lot of stuff going on. Holy freaking shamoligans. Holy freaking shamoligans. So on the lighter side of news, we have PayPal, Revolut, and Fiserv all pursuing federal bank charters. Hey, Paula, thank you for letting us know that you invested in yourself today. Greatly appreciate it. They're all pursuing bank charters. Why? Because there's a lot of stuff that you can do when you're a bank. There's a lot of stuff you can do when you're a bank. Fiserv, go look them up. Half the technology in all banks, community, large, small, regional, all of them, they've got software in almost all the banks out there. So yeah, that's kind of a big deal. That kind of is a big deal. Let me see if I can drum up some details for you. Okay, so yep, in 2025, companies like PayPal, Revolut, and Fiserv are pursuing federal and state banking charters to gain control over payment systems. Payments is huge. Reducing costs and expanding services. Fiserv secured a Georgia charter in 2024, while PayPal and Affirm filed for applications in 2025 and January 2026, respectively. Analysts highlight benefits such as access to payment rails and regulatory flexibility. Exactly. Rick Ritchie, my man in his house. Thank you for letting us know you invested in yourself, and thank you for responding with other. Greatly appreciate that. So yeah, I've been saying it for a while. You've got a lot of action going on in the banking system, and people I don't think are paying attention to themselves, paying attention to that space. Diana Mishler, thank you for coming, and thank you for letting us know that you have absolutely invested in yourself. And thinking of tomorrow. Don't get too ahead of yourself, but that's a good way to go. So like I said, getting direct access to payment rails, settlements, easy in, easy out of fiat. Yeah. What does that also mean? It means they don't have to work with a bank who's just taking money hand over fist from them. Oh, you wanna connect? Don't you recall, what was it, late last year? Was it late last year or early? It was late. I think it was late last year, where Jamie Dimon came out and said, yo, we're JP Morgan Chase, and if you want access to our customer information, because you're a bank and you're trying to do business and all that good stuff, we're going to charge you for access. Yeah. And they don't mean a little bit. They created a whole new revenue stream out of that. Now you know why they're going out and they're trying to become their own freaking banks. Because if you're your own bank, you can get on the same rails and don't have to worry about going through a third party, to get that information. Ta freaking da. Something else that I think is very short-sighted. Stanley, thank you for letting us know that you have invested in yourself today. Something that I think is very short-sighted in that move by JP Morgan. I mean, they're the country's largest bank, so they can afford the hit, but others aren't going to be able to afford that hit. However, what you're really saying is, we don't want you providing services to our customers. That's our job. I don't think there are too many people out there that deal with only one financial institution. 9 times out of 10, your credit card does not go through your actual bank. listening because it sounds like Stitch is trying to get into trouble. So if I'm already dealing with more than one bank, what you're saying is, well, we don't have to worry about other banks. We just have to worry about these neobanks and fintechs, blah, 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 blah. We don't want you having easy access to our customers. We have enough competition going on. What does that really say to the customer? Customers should really be thinking, whoa, wait a minute, hold it. So you're hampering me from interacting with my money that's in your bank. That's what you're saying. Like when you break it all down, that's literally what's going on. I want to use this service, and for me to use this service, I'm giving them access to my bank account because they're going to do certain things. What you're saying is that they're going to have to pay a fee for said access, hampering them and possibly hampering me. Do you think that leaves a good taste in anybody's mouth? I've said this before. Do you think that leaves a good taste in anybody's mouth? Doesn't leave a good taste in mine. You know how many people deal with one bank for regular banking, another one because they have a good high yield savings account, or over here they've got, better mutual funds, whatever it is. People doing more than one thing in banking, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have more than one bank account. Who has one bank account? People that can only afford to have one bank account, or just like having a single bank account, which I can't imagine, because your debit card comes from your bank account. I use my debit card more than I use my credit card on certain things. Why? Because I like living closer to cash. I prefer living closer to cash, because if I ain't got it, then I shouldn't be getting it, right? That's about it. If I ain't got it in the bank and you didn't, sir, go get another job, sell a kidney, but you ain't got that in the bank. And if you ain't got it in the bank, maybe you should take a break and, deal with it. You've been dealing without it for all this time. You can deal without it for a little bit longer. Go save your shekels. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's Stitch. Yeah, Stitch he's a ham. Stitch doesn't need his own fan club. He doesn't. He's a ham. But see, my daughter is home and she's sicky poo. So where is he? He's with her. Or else he'd be in here bothering me. So let me do my show. So you've got that going on. I think you're going to start to see a lot of companies that are around the payments system that are like, yep, this is what we're doing. We're going to file for that bank charter. Because in some cases, I only need one. I think people are sleeping on the fact that, well, X, better named as Twitter, they got approvals. I think they got licensing for payments or something like that in 30 some odd states. But now they were rolled into XAI. XAI is now rolled into SpaceX. Ta-da! It's got a lot of people wondering. It also has a lot of people over at Tesla wondering, well, what are we doing here? But there's a lot of stuff going on. Let's get back to the news. PayPal stock tanked. Yeah. PayPal stock fell to a 2017 low after Q4 revenue of $8.68 billion. That was revenue, $8.68 billion. Needed to take a deep breath. I'll get to that in a moment. And adjusted EPS, earnings per share, of $1.23. 123. Pretty cool. With the current CEO, get out, right? They ousted that guy. And they went and poached, because they knew it was coming. So this was in the works from a long time ago. So they went and they poached the CEO of HP, and now the guy from HP is coming over. Hopefully to send a signal to the street that, hey, we're gonna changes or something like that. Now, let's go back to why I needed that long pause. PayPal's not broke. And I believe that they're operating in the black. They just didn't make enough money. That's how stock moves. I could have a good year. I could have a good quarter, okay? I have a good quarter. It's awesome. I have a good quarter. Then what happens? After my good quarter, I say, well, I think things are going to move along steadily from here. Nothing bad with that. But I didn't say things were going to go up from here. My stock takes a beating. PayPal, I mean, if I'm looking at PayPal, just if I was analyzing PayPal, I would honestly look at that and kind of go, yeah, I might want to get in on that. And some people might be thinking, why would you want to get in on that? And it would be because PayPal has business. It's got a captive audience. They're there. Everybody loves them from time to time. But PayPal's making moves. PayPal opened up a cash machine. It's called PYUSD. Think about that. It's called PYUSD. And I'm kind of like, I think they're going to wind up coming back. Jesus. I got to ask my daughter, please use her headphones. So, I think that in some cases, technology is like beating up on us, right? Because it went down, everything went down. I don't think that things would have been as bad as they are right now, right? And one of the reasons why is because when I look at it, I'm kind of like, well, before the earnings came out, we already got hammered. We had already taken a beating, right? The word tariff was used, that it was doubled down, and we still have a whole bunch of bad news going on, right? So much is going on. I'm probably sure that, except for me mentioning it yesterday, people forgot all about Venezuela and the $500 million that was sold, right? The oil that was sold for $500 million that is supposedly sitting in a Qatari bank or a bank in Qatar, right? And only controlled by this regime. First of all, that's illegal. It's supposed to go straight to the Treasury. Nobody's saying anything, though. It's all Fugazi. It's all Fugazi. Okay, cool. Then we get into a fight over Greenland. Boo, 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 boo. Yeah. Do you not think this was planned? I'm not talking about conspiracy theories or anything else like that. I'm like talking seriously. Because every time you turn around, something is done to bring the markets down. At this point, I can't look back at each one of those times and say that it wasn't on purpose. Like the first time you kind of go, oh, well, Second time even the third time you might go, it's just coinky dink. But the fourth, fifth, sixth time? Nah. There's no way. There's no way. Hutanic in his house. Thanks for letting me know that you invested in yourself. Greatly appreciate it. So there's no way that there's not some kind of manipulation going on. Then you hear that there was a UAE royal that invested in WLFI. More funny math. $2 billion from another company that used USD1. More shady math. There are too many things going on that point to manipulation for various reasons, but manipulation nonetheless. Manipulation nonetheless. Then you see certain movement in certain things where the only people that could have made out were the original investors and friends. So again, I'm not talking conspiracy theory. I'm talking about how the market has been manipulated, or to me, it would seem that the market was manipulated several times. And miraculously enough, certain people really made out. What else can you say? I mean, like I said, for me, technology stocks taking a hit, you can kind of see that coming, right? You can kind of see that coming. We've been talking about that for a little while. You can kind of see it coming. Fine, cool, no problem. AMD had bad numbers. Nvidia wasn't all that great. Microsoft definitely wasn't all that great. Because you can expect it only because everybody's doing that whole data center thing. Everybody needs a data center. Oh. And they dumped a lot of money into researching and building and blah, 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 blah. Cool beans. So did you think this was going to be a good quarter? I didn't. Because based on that, how could it be a good quarter? You have that circle jerk of investment that's going on. Invisible money and credit that's being passed around, but everything touches. Everything's touching. So yeah, you kind of do expect that a whole bunch of stuff is going on. Right? So when normal news hits, because I know a lot of people look at me and they're kind of like, yo, Eddie's crazy. He's always talking about this rhythm of a coin, rhythm of a blah, 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 blah. What's going on, Max? Thanks for letting us know you invested in yourself. And hello, 8 Paws. Thank you for letting us know you invested in yourself. So you're looking at the rhythm of a coin and you start to realize, oh, damn. When things are on a downturn and then you get more bad news, because right here you're fine, right? You're on the surface of the water. Up here you're above. Bad news hits, you come down, and then more bad news hits that is not controlled. Meaning, what are you talking about tariffs? What are you doing? That's self-inflicted, right? That's shooting yourself in the foot so you don't have to go to war, right? Okay. How many times does that have to happen before somebody says, you know, there's some real, you know, not necessarily evidence, but there's, even if you didn't say it was evidence, there's way too much coincidence. Way too much coincidence. So yeah, I'm looking at it all and I'm just saying to myself, yeah, we can't predict what the stock market is going to do. But we have brains. We can do our own research, know our entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. We can look at things and kind of go, I'm getting a feeling about this, and I think this stock is going to go a little bit south because, well, they might have overinvested in something and blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. We can do that research. That information is out there for us to think about on our own. Cool, not a problem. Can you do that with tariffs? I can't do that when somebody just can say the word tariff and tank everything. I can't predict when you're going to use that word. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, maybe, you know what? Maybe I can. But from a purely monetary perspective, purely budgetary, purely economic, purely my bag perspective, there is no way I'm actually going to be able to predict when that word's going to come flying out of that mouth. Everything's just humming along. We're slowly doing that stair step up. And I mean slow. I mean like snail's pace slow. Market's fighting. Market's doing what it needs to do. The market's just trying to do its thing, right? And then you get dropped 20 grand. We weren't even at 100. You get dropped 20 grand like that. Wow. How do you can't plan for that. We're talking about fundamentals of coins that you're just like, fundamentally, how is that coin doing so low? How is that happening? And then you have a whole bunch when it comes to doing research, something that like really grates on my skin. I'm not perfect. My team's not perfect. None of us here are perfect. We're all here trying to learn together. But something that grates on my skin is when I look up and I see an article that hones in on a single coin and says, this coin tanked. Why did it tank? I don't think I ever want to see another article from you like ever. Why is that, Mr. Johnson? Why is that? Well, because the whole market is down. How are you pinpointing this one coin? And you see those articles all over the place. You've got to be able to stop and go, I'm not going to pay attention to any of those articles. I don't pay attention to articles that are, when the whole market's down or the whole market's up, I don't pay attention to those articles that are like, oh, it's up because of this. It's down because of, no, the whole freaking market is up. What's the root cause of something going up or something going down? That's what you should be keyed in on. Not the single coin, single stock, single whatever, making the same move as everything else. I know. I'm just trying to give you a free lesson here. Because that's actually a part of the class for learn how to do your own research. We actually teach that. And it's just annoying because you really should be sitting back and you're saying to yourself, yeah, I don't ever want to read that person's stuff again. If that person is real. I told you guys a while ago that I built a little agent and it does my little financial analysis and stuff like that. I built it for S&Gs, for ish and giggles. I'm trying hard not to curse so much. I'm from the Bronx. You know how hard that is. So I built it. I could have that agent come out and say, here's this stock and here's the MACD versus RSI and give you its ratings and blah, 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 blah. I could do that. I could release that as an article. Why would I? How is that news? That's not news, right? That's analysis. I don't mind doing analysis, but I'm not going to try to post that out there like it's freaking news. It's an analysis. It's not news. Separate out that noise. When you're doing your own research, separate out that noise because that's all it is, right? Start paying attention to larger pictures and then drill down from there. So we've got Venezuela, we've got the oil tanker, we've got all this other stuff. We have Epstein files. We've got a whole bunch of stuff that's hitting right now. That's No bueno. I bet you guys didn't know something else that's actually going to wind up having economic impact on us. Us mucking around and, pressuring Greenland, us mucking around and having United States. That's what I mean by us. The United States mucking around and meeting with separationists from Canada. Like what? You want to know what else we did? That's probably going to have the whole world looking at us cross-eyed. And it will wind up, if we go any further, we will have an economic impact. We put boots on the ground in Nigeria. So while all this noise is going around, other news is happening that we're not paying attention to. This is what I mean by cut through the noise. That cacophony doesn't matter. It's these pearls of information that we get hit with. And we need to sift through all of that to get to the pearls of information. What's going to damage me? Well, Ukraine damaged Russia, right? Russia was already in a bad place. And then they said, well, if we can get everybody behind us if Mother Russia goes to war. So they picked on Ukraine. But it was supposed to be quick. It was supposed to be in and out because we're Russia. It was supposed to be in and out, all done. That's not what happened. It's dragged on. And now people are back because your economy sucks. And you have us in a war where a lot of our people are getting killed. Didn't work. But we seem to be following that same thing, right? We seem to be running around the world picking fights. And each one of these fights carries an economic impact. Each one of them. Forget about the politics. Forget about whether it's right, whether it's wrong. Forget about the reason. Forget about all that. What are the ramifications? So that's what gets me. That's what gets me. There are just too many things that are going on, and it sucks the oxygen out of the room. Sucks the oxygen out of the room. Now, bringing it back directly to us, Nevada regulators sued Coinbase for unlicensed sports betting, seeking a temporary ban on its derivatives exchange. And I'm like, okay, prediction markets, of course, right? It makes sense. But your derivatives exchange too. Both of them. One thing I'm going to say is that sometimes businesses look for, they'll do something and ask for forgiveness after the fact. If I'm a crypto company, I don't really want to do that. Right? There's no reason to. You already have too many people going against you. There's no reason for me to invite that. Right? At least in my humble opinion. That's not what I want to do. I feel like I missed some stuff. Let's see. Okay, and then I don't think it was a government move. What's up, Jason? Have you invested in yourself today? Yeah, that has nothing to do with anything. Always look what the left hand is doing when it comes to the government. Yes and no. You're probably going to want to slap me. Both hands are doing something real fast in your face right here. What are your feet doing? Maybe you're tap dancing and nobody's watching your hands. I want you to take a look at every single headline that involves the United States government right now, just the ones that could possibly have economic ramifications. Just those. How many are there? How many are there? there's enough to actually have two buckets: domestic problems, world stage problems. You can separate them like that. There's enough to have two buckets. Just saying. Just saying. So you miss little things. Like, I should be concentrating on Hedera's H-bar led crypto's third real world asset sector by GitHub activity, with Chainlink, Avalanche, and Stellar following, and IOTA coming in fifth. IOTA. I have my doubts about IOTA, but this is the second time I'm hearing about them. Wow. That should mean something. But that good news in bad market where we're dealing with so much negative news means nothing. Truth be told, PayPal, Revolut, Fiserv, all those companies that are going for banking charters, that should be good news. But we have so much negative news, doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Santander buying a Northeast regional bank, Webster Bank, for $10.9 billion. I don't understand why they didn't just go the full 11, but whatever. For $10.9 billion. That should have been good news. Santander has bought a couple of banks in the United States. Santander is trying really hard because they're not a bank from here. Or Santander, I forget how they pronounce it because I can never remember if it's French or Spanish. Whatever, it's a foreign bank. I should know because my neighbor is a big executive at that bank. I should remember it. But we don't talk business, we don't talk business. We watch our dogs play and stuff like that. Anyway, I sit there and I just kind of go, are you serious? Those are good news pieces that came during downward momentum news. That news cannot fight tariff information or a tariff thing. All the technology stocks that took a hit wouldn't have dragged down the market this hard. Wouldn't have. And had they, I can almost guarantee you there would have been 1 or 2 days of downward push, right? Enough to call it a healthy dip. People would have bought back in. Oh my God, that stuff is on sale. Holy moly. Oh, and they would have bought back in. Market comes back, everything's fine. We are at this level right now primarily because the word tariff was used a few times and we took a devastating hit. And then you got hit with, oh, and the tech stocks aren't doing so good. Then I watched some knucklehead talk about how OpenClaw, well, ClaudeBot then morphed into Moltbot, now is OpenClaw, came out and said that it's not as bad as you think. It is. If you're a technologist, you know that it is. Even if you said some of these things are fake and somebody did this and somebody did that, that's fine. Some of it is fake, but some of it is very real. Having a database left wide open and 1.5 million bots being on this network, on this platform, exposing API keys just because things were unlocked. I mean, heck, not even unlocked. Door was left wide open. Hutanic, go stand in the corner, man. Go stand in the freaking corner. I'm mad that I didn't come up with that myself. Go stand in the corner. Nail on the head, bro. Nail on the head. Pandora's box. it's not going to be the single company that's going to create true AGI. I firmly believe that it's going to be a situation like this where you've just got things running around and the anomaly happens and another anomaly happens and they somehow come together, and then another one come together, another one come together, and that's what's going to create that particular piece. Go back and watch The Terminator. Skynet was not that difficult to see. You look at it now and you're kind of like, we kind of have all of that, don't we? Look at the last Mission Impossible, one computer program that's basically thinking on its own. It's not necessarily sentient. It's playing the odds. It's a really super duper next word prediction machine. And it's placing the odds on what you think you're going to do next. So the algorithm for X, they put it out in the public for the For You section, right? And so it's guessing. So now creators can actually see how it's all done, right? What you have to do. Now they work on it all the time and they'll update it whenever they feel like updating it, supposedly every 30 days, but whatever. But you'll see how it actually works, right? And the problem is that, well, it's doing nothing more than running, calculations. So when you look at that, when you look at these computer applications that it says, you say, oh, it's thinking by itself. It's probably not. It's predicting. It's predicting. It's saying the odds of you doing this are greater. I'm going to plan for that and the next two moves. You'll have to come up with a fourth one that I didn't calculate, that I didn't put within my spectrum. That's what happens. It's not really sentient. But there's enough tech out there where you've got things that kind of collide and odd things can happen. I heard another talking head out there say, I'm going to give, and yes, don't just work with me here. I'm bringing it back to the economy in your bags. Just trust me. She got out there and she said, well, I set up Maltbot on a completely separate machine and I set up all brand new accounts for it. So it's not actually using my accounts. That's right, because even though you might have it running on a box, that's not your primary box. If you give it access to your accounts, it's going to do what it does. That's a no bueno situation. What did this woman do? She said, well, I created all these separate accounts and I did this and I did that and I gave it its own credit card. Prepaid. At least it was prepaid. And I sat there and I wish I could have a conference call with her and just be like, so did you think that was more secure? Is that what you think? Because it's got its own accounts and its own credit card, and you think that's more secure. You're not thinking about all of the attack vectors that are still there that leave your bot wide open to attack. What platforms is it using? So if it gets attacked because you didn't close everything up because you're not really a developer, you're one of these vibe coder kind of people who don't understand how software actually works. And so now what you do is, because you left your doors open, you're now making it so that other platforms that have nothing to do with AI are also open. Why is that? Oh, because it has API keys. So if it's got API keys, it can go mess around with whatever platform you wanted to give it access to. OpenAI, Claude, Perplexity, just Grok, name one. Email, name anything. You just And now, OpenClaw, well, one of those platforms exposed the keys and everything else that 1.5 million bots leverage to do what they do. Yeah. How does that affect your bags? Any company that's doing business that has an API and now a bot is now leveraging their API, that's an attack vector. And it can happen much faster than if a human being does it. I tap into APIs all the time. It would take me a minute, even as a black hat. I mean, I'm not a black hat, but for a black hat, it's going to take them a minute to think about how can I use this API to trick it into doing something. Because that's what happened with Grok. They tricked it into doing something. And it did it. So right now, there is a whole bunch of phone calls, panic calls that are happening that are where people are saying, "Oh man, how do I fix, these attack vectors? How do I address these new attack vectors?" You want to go into a field? Oh, digital security is going to be, it's been blown wide open. You want a job? You want to know what the number one tool is besides development that the hackers have? Creativity. Remember I was talking about that the other night? It's creativity. How does that affect my bag? Well, all I need to do is attack a small business, a medium-sized business. They don't have the security teams that these big companies have. And even those teams are having problems. I can completely decimate a small business. I had a small business call us up from, I believe it was Tennessee. Had a conversation with them. One of my friends introduced me. And their computer got compromised. This is some simple stuff. It's simple stuff. Your computer got compromised. Now your accounts got compromised. You got to jump through a lot of hoops to, clean it all up and all that other good stuff. But it's a pain in the butt, but it's simple because you know exactly what to do. However, in the advent of bots and automation, AI automation and bots, let me tell you something. I think that is different now. That's how all of this ties back to your bags. Are you going forward? You should be looking at any one of the companies. You should be looking for news for any kind of hacks, any kind of attacks. You best believe that North Korea and Lazarus Group is all over this. Because how can you tell that it came from someplace? Is because somehow, some way, you can run heuristics and you can track back those little breadcrumbs back to where it is. I described to you the other day, listen, you don't have to do that now. To wreak havoc, I do not need this thing to phone home. To make money for me, I do not need this thing to phone home. What was that movie with John Travolta? Who was it? It was John Travolta. The guy who plays Wolverine, I can see his face, can't remember his name. And I love that guy. He's a great actor. And Halle Berry. Swordfish. That's the movie, Swordfish. And he basically, everybody uses the word Hydra. He's got this Hydra. Whatever. He created malware, and it took all the money from these accounts and dispersed them to tons of other accounts and then brought it back. It's only going to get worse before it gets better. I don't know if it's going to get better, but AI will rule, and it's funny to think men could contain AI once it's let out. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. I don't know that it's going to get better. Because why did all of this happen? What's that word that I use all the time? That core word. That 5 letters that describe it all about why bad things happen. Greed. The word you're looking for is greed. Somebody comes out and they start yapping about how this new technology is the best thing since sliced bread. It can do a lot. It's been around, Rick Ritchie, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been around since 1956. All these things that you didn't realize is a form of AI. It's been around since 1956. And now that you've killed a lot of trees, freaked out a lot of people, stolen information, all this good stuff, now you're going to come back and you're going to put it in the hands of regular people. And you're going to say that we're only this far away from having blah, 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 it's going to be so good. And you knew you were lying. You knew you were lying. You're nowhere near that. You're nowhere near that. And you've created something that in the hands of regular people can do really big damage. You could do some really cool stuff too, right? You could do some really cool stuff. You know, those people that, you know, don't have malicious intent, you're going to do some really cool stuff. Right? Other people, what are they doing? People that do have malicious intent, nefarious characters, what are they doing? They're figuring out how they can use it to do more of that kind of stuff. Again, a no bueno situation. Cat's out of the bag. It really is Pandora. But it all stems from greed. It all stems from greed. Look at the deals that they're doing. All stems from greed. Money, credit, all changing hands. It's a big fat circle jerk. At the end of the day, again, I still ask the same thing. Why do we need all these data centers when I can run this locally and not take up any more power? It's because these companies are trying to convince everybody that it's going to be one of them that's going to create the magic thing. Why do we need the magic thing? Because you're not doing it for the betterment of mankind, right? Because you're trying to figure out how to charge for it. So that's not for the betterment of mankind. Because if you're trying to do something for the betterment of mankind, then you'd be sitting back thinking about, well, let's do universal basic income and keep doing this thing for the betterment of mankind. How to grow potatoes in abundance. Potatoes is food. It means food. And I'm just saying, you could have a big crop. I told you one of the guys from the All In podcast, the scientific one, I forgot his name, Greenberg, I think is the last name, has a company where they have developed a way to grow potatoes with very little water. Grow food in harsh locations. You could feed people. Are they going to want to make money from it? Of course, they're going to want to make money from that. But at what point do you say, okay, you can make money off of that, and then it goes to the people? Does any company think like that anymore? It's greed. It comes down to greed. So when you're doing your own research, knowing your entries and exits, and absolutely investing deliberately, I've got to keep my finger on the pulse of everything that's going on so I can start to dig deeper than just the headline. Read the damn article. Pick out the salient points. Don't think that you're going to go to the top and those bullet points are the points that you actually need. You know how many times I read articles and they give you the bullet points and it gives you the gist of the article and okay, fine, you can move on. But the pearls of information come from reading the actual article. It's that one detail that's not in the bullet point. Because it's the one detail that's not a bullet for the article, but is a bullet in a larger picture. Aha. Just saying. Just saying. So what do we have to do? We have to pay attention to the news that's out there. We must pay attention to the news that's out there. More importantly, we have to be able to discern what the news actually is. What's worthy of my time to read. When I sit here, I'm giving you bullet points that you should then, or could then, because I don't want to tell you what to do, I apologize, that you could then go do research on. Did he get that right? Did that really happen? Let me go look at that. Oh, we did. Oh. Now what am I going to do with that information? Or no, he was wrong. But that was still news. What am I going to do with that information? I'm bringing things to light. Me and my team, we bring things to light, and then it's on you to go do the research that you want to do. No, what I'm saying is it's not the silver bullet. You're not looking for the silver bullet. It's like going into, it's like going into a mine and looking for a diamond. A diamond doesn't look like a diamond when you find it. Right? Gold does not necessarily look like gold until you clean it a little bit. It's that hidden thing. A silver bullet. Oh, you're going to see that. But it's those tiny little things that you're not going to pick up on. That you've got to build those skills. Some people think, oh, I've read the article. I know what it's about. You've got to build those skills that help you find or notice that needle in the haystack. Because that needle in the haystack, that means something to this article that really brings it home for you, but it was really in that article. But that tiny little nugget made that picture colorful. Now you know what it is. You can't even, Diana, you can't even know what you're looking for. It's one of those things where, this is it for all my people that go shopping, right? You go shopping. What are you going shopping for? I don't know. What are you going to get? I have no idea. You know what stores you're going to go to? I know a couple. How will I know when you find it? I'll just know. That one. How many of you, when you're, not doing anything, you just walk up and down each aisle in Costco? This is how they get you. It's related. This is how they get you. You walk into Costco and you've got your list. I'm only going to do these things. I'm only going to do these things. Wow, that's interesting. What's that? Oh, wow. Next thing you know, you're picking up the box. Like, wow, and somehow that box makes it into your cart. This is how you walk in there looking to spend only $100 on your list, but you walk out having spent $300. That's how that happens. That is how that happens. Yeah. So you sit there and you're kind of like, damn. So you don't know what you're looking for. You know what? When you read it and you go, it clicks in your head. It just clicks in your head and you're like, I recall reading something and this right here, it didn't make sense to me before, but now I see it. Holy moly. It's sort of like, Kraken became a bank. And you sit there and you just go, okay, Kraken became a bank. All right. And then now what are you seeing? You're seeing a whole slew of companies follow suit and start going to try to become banks. Why? Because at first you're thinking, oh, well, Kraken became a bank because, what can you do with a bank? Well, I can deposit money. I can, remove money. Okay, that makes sense. And then they went and they did all this other stuff. And you're hyper focused on, what that means for Kraken. But then you see this company and this company and this company do the same thing. And then you're like, what the heck? And they're not the same kind of company. PayPal is not Kraken. Kraken is not PayPal. And they're definitely not no freaking Fiserv. Go look up Fiserv. Just saying. For S&Gs, go look up Fiserv. Then you realize, what do they all have in common? What are they all going for? Holy moly. They're all going for the rails. They're all going for the rails. Whoa. Then you start thinking, well, what are the ramifications for all the existing banks? What are these existing banks doing? They're going after stable coins and staking. But they're not going after these other companies, because how could you? They're not going after these other companies that are becoming banks, because they think, oh, those are small potatoes, those are small potatoes, those are small potatoes. But when you have so many small potatoes, you can still make mashed potatoes, can't you? I can still make some French fries, can't I? I can still make some au gratin, can't I? I can still do all of those things. But it happens in pockets. And I think big banks are not paying attention to those pockets. Your boy was VP at Fiserv. Tell him what's up. Dead serious. I was out there trying to work on something with Satyam, because Fiserv had bought another company, and they're trying to figure out, how do we bring all these autonomous companies together into Fiserv? What Fiserv used to do is they would go out and they would buy all these companies and all that stuff, and they would let them operate autonomously. And nobody could figure out how to bring them all in. Thanks, D-Mac. So yeah, you sit back and you start to realize, holy moly. Huh. You didn't know it until you saw it. You probably would have skipped past that article. Kraken being crypto and PayPal not being crypto. PayPal is fintech. They have a stable coin. Fiserv is purely, financial services. What are you doing? What are you talking about? Fiserv has all the software that if you made a phone call and you said, I want to open up a bank, Fiserv has all of the software you could possibly need to start your bank. All of it. Through its various autonomously run companies, they have all of the software. Even the ones that you think are competitors, they're kind of competitors, but all that money still rolls up to Fiserv. Just saying. So there's a lot. It takes discipline, but I'm very strategic. When you see that silver bullet, you know it. I'm going to stick to what I said. A silver bullet to me is easy to find. But recognizing something in the raw, now that's harder to find. Gold looks like a rock until you clean it. You have to have a trained eye to know that you found gold. That's why you're sitting there going through everything, even to find that tiny little one. That's why you're sitting there going through it with water, because it's cleaning it off a little bit. There's no luster to it. It's all scuffed and everything. When you find gold in its natural form, it's not shiny. It's not pretty like that. So when you find something in the raw, you got to know. When you think silver bullet, you're thinking shiny silver. I'm thinking it's going to be something that I'm not going to know. You're looking for a silver bullet. What does a bullet look like? You have a reference for what a bullet looks like. You don't have that reference when you're looking for something in the raw. I'm not looking for the silver bullet. I'm looking for the silver that made the bullet in its natural form. Scuffed, scratched, doesn't look like what you would think it looks like until you clean it and you shine it a little bit, and then you go, oh, that's silver. Then you bite it to see the softness of it, and you go, oh, that's silver. Oh, that's gold. I get what you're saying, but I'm being very, very specific about it for a reason. Because when you hone your abilities to look at everything and read it at that level, that's when you'll start finding all those different things. I don't catch everything, and I'm in the news every freaking day. You guys know it. But I catch a lot. I catch a lot. And you know what the best thing is? I'll catch a lot. You'll catch a lot. Rick will catch a lot. 8 Paws will catch a lot. We'll all catch a lot. We'll all bring it together and be like, holy moly, look at all this stuff that we caught. That's what makes the community so powerful. That's what makes it so powerful. What crypto firm lost $482 million in 2025? Kraken, Gemini. Nobody believed it was Gemini. Seriously? Oh, is Gemini the new Fidelity? Anyway, Anchorage Digital or other. It is other. 8 Paws was correct. And so was Rick Ritchie. It was Galaxy Digital. It was Galaxy Digital. You were not in the service too long. And you're not wrong in your thinking. I was just using that to drive a point home. So I'm sorry for picking on you, but I wanted to drive that point home. I want everybody to know that sometimes that true pearl of information is not something that looks like a piece of silver, looks like a piece of gold, looks like a diamond, looks like a pearl. You're going to find that gem in its raw form. That's what I mean. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor, smash the likes, tell your friends about this community, and absolutely go to growmybag.tv, become a member. I'm telling you now, we're about a hair away from turning off access to the articles unless you're a member, right? We have 13 plus regular articles, 13,000 plus regular articles. We have a few thousand videos, and we have content that we haven't even released yet. Like our knowledge base of words that we use in the financial industry. We have a lot more coming. We're not done yet. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And as always, thank you for your trust. We will fight for that every day. We're not perfect. We don't even strive to be perfect. We just strive to be as good as we can be. And I hope you all feel the same way. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the daily. Everybody have a great night. Have a good one. Bye-bye.